how true what Eddie Hearn has been putting out about all he did was send you an offer because you're your own boss?
Only thing true about Eddie Hearn is that he's reaching out.
Okay.
All right? That's all I can say. But he's only reaching out so he won't look like the clown that's not, like, accepting what's going on. You feel me? He's like reaching out but don't really want to make that move, you know?
So he hasn't sent real offers? Has he sent numbers to you?
Look, let's break the ice, bro. Let's break the ice. Let's keep it 100 because I don't do interviews.
Right.
This is my only interview.
Got you.
Wow. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
I haven't done an interview with nobody. I don't do interviews because they change up your words.
Right.
They make you look like you're not, whatever. So all I do is take care of my kids and have fun, live life, bro.
All right, keep it a buck with us. We appreciate that.
Keep this. Eddie Hearn has reached out. He's not lying about that. He has reached out. The offer wasn't strong enough. I forwarded the shit straight to Al, Sylvia, the command team, the headquarters. They know what's going on. I'm told not to respond, all right? I'm told not to even feed into none of that shit, all right? So, basically, look, I'm the WBC champ. I want to be the franchise champ. You feel me?
Right.
We don't even got to fight for no belt. Canelo, look, Alvarez, Canelo, know who I am. That's all I need to know. You know who I am. I'm going to keep doing my job. Eventually, we're going to get in the ring. Obviously, everybody else, in the world, they waiting on this fight. So all I can do is just, what?
Do you feel
keep fighting, keep winning?
Right.
Put yourself in my shoes. What y'all want me to do?
No. I hear what you're saying. I totally hear what you're saying. Do you feel Canelo is the best, the other best fight outside of yourself? Do you think he's the biggest threat? He's the middleweight to beat? Like, do you respect him as a fighter?
Bro, Canelo the champ. Canelo, everything everybody else talking about. Like, I don't hear nobody else saying Demetrius Andrade or Danny Jacobs or Golovkin anymore. All I hear is Canelo. So that's all I want to do is fight the best in the world. Look, I'm here to feed my family, like I told y'all. I'm a go in there. I'm gonna put up. I'm 29. Canelo 29. We both in our prime. It's nothing. Look, I'm 30-0. Shit, I got enough accolades to fight him. What's up? I'm the WBC champ.
Jermall Charlo explains Eddie Hearn's offer and the Demetrius Andrade situation. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chat channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Sign up for ESPN Plus below using my link. Definitely helps the channel. You can also bundle ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, and Hulu, $12.99 for a month, each month for all three services, all three apps. Let's get it. Now, you guys heard at the beginning, Jermall Charlo breaks his silence. He talked to AK, Ak, and Barack, and they did a Sirius XM interview, and he explained what's going on. He says, I don't normally do interviews because people try to, add stuff and change what you say. I'm giving it to you straight, and I'm telling you what it is and what happened. He says the only thing, and I don't want to paraphrase too much because you guys heard it, but I want to talk about it. So just to quickly recap it, I'm not going to say it verbatim because you guys heard what he said, but he basically said that I'm gonna shoot at it straight, and he said the only thing Eddie Hearn is being transparent about is that he has reached out. He has reached out, but he also says that he's reaching out more so to save face, more so he don't look like a clown in the situation, and he could, come to the public and blabber and say he's attempting to make the fights and, has a scapegoat. And that's what it sounds like. Then he says he did send the offer. He's not lying about that, but the offer wasn't strong enough. He says immediately upon me receiving this, I forwarded to the command center, my headquarters, to Al Heyman, and they said don't even respond. Don't entertain it. Don't entertain that BS and whatnot. Like, don't jump in the middle of it. So he said, I'm told not to really respond. I'm just giving it to you because, you guys are cool, and I'm giving you the scoop. And he said, Canelo knows who I am. We eventually going to fight. People are he said he's not really hearing that Demetrius Andrade or even Golovkin at this point is the one. I want to fight the best, and they're saying Canelo's the best, so line it up. We got to fight at some point. He said, I don't even care about the franchise and the belts and stuff, but I want to take care of my family and my kids and prove that I'm the best, so line it up. Listen, I'm glad that he found an outlet to break the silence and gave that, but it's looking bad for old media because, like I said, people keep you can believe whatever you want, but like I said, Eddie Hearn has been clout chasing, in my opinion. He's clout chasing. He's just basically listing a bunch of fights and offers that were made, but he's not getting these fights over the line. And as I mentioned several times on my channel, at the end of the day, it's really about what you can accomplish. You know, I could sit up here and tell you a bunch of visions I had and goals, but if I don't achieve them, then it doesn't really mean anything. You know, a person can talk about, I want to lose 50 pounds, but if they don't start making the actionable items and doing it, and like losing 5 pounds here, 2 pounds here, 10 pounds over the course of a couple months, etc., then it really means nothing. It's just talk. And that's what we're getting more so from Eddie Hearn. He's not being able to produce the fights that he wants or whatever, like Andy Ruiz, Dillian White. People aren't really talking about Anthony Joshua as much after his Ruiz fights. And, you know, you're just seeing a bunch of clout chasing. Joshua keeps putting his 2 cents out about Wilder and fighting Fury in Saudi Arabia. Dillian White keeps talking about Wilder and he's a coward. And he's talking about, you know, Andy Ruiz. But then all the indications from these Eddie Hearn fighters are that they're fighting other competition. And it's basically, and unfortunately for Rematch Room, it's fights that don't really, you know, move the needle. Like, people aren't really elated to see those fights, and that's why I say it's clout chasing, because that's what's going on. You keep talking about Charlo and Andrade, but Andrade's fighting Keeler. And speaking of, I really like Charlo, and I really rate and like Andrade as well, but I thought he fought too hasty. He should have slowed down the tempo, because it made it look crazy, you know, when he was like in there with Luke Keeler and he was just like swinging everything wild. I think he should have just took his time and fought like he normally fights. But it was like, yeah, kind of like Tim Bradley versus Ruslan Provodnikov. He had a chip on his shoulder and he was trying to prove something or win in such a devastating knockout fashion that he ended up getting what he wanted. But I think it could have been a lot more surgical based on where I rate his skill set. You know, it's similar to Crawford versus Mean Machine. But the thing is, I think Crawford looked better versus Mean Machine than Andrade did. You know, Crawford's attempt, he was just getting stung, and then he wouldn't switch out of southpaw positioning, you know. So he's just kind of being stubborn there. But Andrade, he was just fighting like wild man style, and luckily he was in there with somebody like a Luke Keeler where he was able to do that. And despite the mistakes he was making, Keeler couldn't, you know, answer. He had no answers for that. But against a Charlo or, you know, somebody like Canelo, you can't really, you got to be surgical and you got to be strategic. These guys are probably definitely too good for like a mediocre game plan, and you're going to have to make adjustments in fight. But against a Luke Keeler, you can get away with it. So bottom line, I don't think Andrade did himself any favors with that performance, because it started off well, but then he didn't like calm it down a touch, and it made it look like kind of chaotic and rushed a bit more than it needed to be. Versus Charlo, you look at his last performance, he was in there with someone who I think, to me, Dennis Hogan looked better, and he looked like more of a problem, and he gave Jaime Munguia, who just moved up to 60, even though they fought at 54. Jaime Munguia has always been really big for 54, and he gave Jaime Munguia all the problems in the world, and I thought he beat Jaime Munguia, truth be told. But Charlo went in there, sized him up, see what he was trying to do, see the fidgety stuff, and he systematically broke him down, had him doing somersaults. So I think Charlo looked very well. He looked very seasoned, and he took his time, and he showed the fundamentals and the power and the jab and the ring IQ to systematically break his opponent. Versus Andrade, his game plan worked in the end, but it looked a little bit like just looked more forced than it needed to be. against the level of guy he was in there with. Because I really feel like Lucas Keeler, had he fought Charlo, he would have got done up, because Charlo is fundamental and he's strong and he's aggressive. So it just wouldn't have been a good fight for him. Andrade, you know, he was like, he just didn't pick his spots intelligently. So Charlo, he spoke his mind on the fight. He said he's not hearing the same buzz about Triple G at this point. He's not hearing the same buzz about Canelo. Canelo's supposed to be the one. And listen, Canelo, he's talking about fighting Ryota Murata, Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Smith, all these UK fighters. Charlo is a big fight, you know. That's a big fight for Canelo. Why not fight Charlo? That would settle the mandatory, the franchise champion, would settle all that. Charlo's from Houston, shout out to H-Town. And Canelo has a fan base in Texas from the past fights, like his James Kirkland fight, and that did good numbers on HBO. He had a good attendance. He also had a good attendance against Liam Smith in Texas. And they're refusing to fight Charlo. So Charlo just has to keep knocking down doors. But as far as that Eddie Hearn, is just looking like basically Eddie Hearn, he overplayed his hand with the Joshua situation, and he overstated what he thought he would be able to do in America. And he's seeing it's much harder to facilitate the fights that he's trying to facilitate. And he thought he was just going to come over to America and it would be UK 2.0. And he's quickly found out that that's not the case. The American market operates completely different. And you've seen he's basically been humbled by America. American boxing is not the same as UK boxing. You know, shout out to the UK. They have a lot of great fight fans and stuff like that. Very loyal, but it's just a different market. You can't put Sam Egington versus Liam and expect that to do noise. You know what I mean? People are in America, you know how they say in a New York minute? That's because everything's boom, 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 boom. Everything's quicker. So people aren't willing to wait. And we don't, in America, you know, we a-holes. We don't want to wait for excuses and you're not fighting this person, but you keep talking about the person. Things like that. You might be able to pacify the UK media and UK fans by just talking about you want AJ to fight this person or Dillian White and Wilder, but in America it don't work like that. So to me, I think they're just using Eddie Hearn and DAZN. They're just using Charlo's name. They keep making these graphics showing the likeness and the name and the brand of Charlo, but Andrade can't even get a solid fight and a solid name that would really further his career on his own network. So I don't blame Charlo. You know, why would his first option be Andrade, and Andrade ain't even getting promoted on his own network? You know what I'm saying? As great as he is, an Olympian, and skilled as he is, he's not even, bro, they had him fighting in a co-feature with YouTubers. And then after the YouTube card in Super Bowl Miami, people were leaving the venue. And Andrade hadn't even came out because he was allegedly the main event. So Andrade was the main event versus Lucas Keeler. This is what Eddie Hearn put together in DAZN. Andrade and Lucas Keeler was the main event. And all of a sudden, Jake Paul got the first round knockout. People start leaving. That was rude. That was disrespectful to even put this on the same card like that, because you knew that could be a possibility. People are in Miami for Super Bowl week. They trying to party. So if they just came for Jake Paul and they seen what they seen and needed to see, then they left. Especially when you didn't give Andrade a strong opponent that was branded in America that people wanted to see him fight. They also gave Jake Paul and Anderson Gibb his own backdrop and his own press conference, and, you know, treated it like that was the main event, despite listing Andrade versus Keeler as the main event. So with decision making like that from Rematch Room, Eddie Hearn, and DAZN, why would you blame Charlo for ignoring the offer when the money's not strong enough, which is its own issue, which we'll talk about more, and pursuing the bigger fight that's going to get him more money, more recognition, and a guy like Canelo. Canelo has a good resume. They're the same age, like I told you. They're about 5-6 months apart, the twin Charlos, you know, and Canelo. So they're in the same age bracket. They're working on their brands. Canelo's brand is shrinking. Charlo's brand is bigger than it's probably ever been, you know, with the Lions only in their own promotion and stuff like that. And now that's where you're seeing a lot of clout chasing. But I don't blame Charlo for pursuing the guy that he was supposed to be able to get as mandatory. He went the WBC route. He did everything the WBC said, and then as soon as he got there, right? As soon as he got there, you know, they said, guess what? Haha. We're doing the franchise champion thing. Like, what? It was insane. It was like total insanity. So, you know, I don't blame Charlo for trying to get and this is part of old media's fault too. They said Canelo's the best. At one point they said Triple G was the best. And then you're mad at Charlo for wanting to fight Canelo or Triple G, the guys that old media and ESPN and all these people said were the best. You're angry with him for pursuing the guys you're listing as number 1 and 2, as opposed to a guy who's not even treated well on his own network, and his brand and his promotion from his promotion hasn't really been strong in terms of Andrade. Yeah, it's a good fight stylistically, but so is Canelo. And Canelo versus Charlo is more, it's like two guys with an aggressive boxing, punching, you know, caliber. So, you know, what are we really talking about? It looks crazy. I feel Charlo, and I think more people should do the Charlo approach with PBC. When they're being clout chased, just stop responding to it. You know, don't overly talk about it, because that's what they're trying to use. They're trying to use your brand to build up, you know, this, keep people talking, but it's only so long you can survive like that. Charlo, what I don't know, he says he has his own fight on his social media. He said he has an announcement probably coming soon for his next fight. So I can't wait to see who's next for him. I've covered a lot of the Charlo's recent fights, and they're working on their brand. You know, Andrade, he's not even getting treated well on DAZN with the options that they're getting. And then you want Charlo to focus on Andrade more than the guys like Canelo. And it's weird. It's everything. The walls are closing in. I keep telling you. Canelo is having trouble making the Ryota Murata fight, had trouble making Derevyanchenko fight, had trouble making the Kovalev fight, the first negotiations, had trouble making the Caleb Smith and Billy Joe Saunders. They just rejected the deal. We're getting closer and closer to May, and we still don't know who Canelo's going to fight. Why not look at Andrade, who's at least an in-house fighter? Why not look at Charlo, who that's the biggest fight Canelo can fight in America right now? You know, except for like maybe Mayweather or something ridiculous like Pacquiao or Conor McGregor. You know what I'm saying? Something that wild card stuff. But reasonable fights, people in this division, I would say Charlo is the biggest American fight that they could really make. Where the Charlo's brand is, the attitude of the Charlos, and you know, it'd just be a big fight, especially the location they come from. And it's just looking bad because DAZN and ESPN, they are not, DAZN and Eddie Hearn, they will not be able to survive just mentioning people's names without producing. You have to produce. And the last thing I will say is Charlo says the offer wasn't strong enough. So they were trying to, Eddie Hearn showed the email and it looked like a multi-fight deal they were trying to get him into. You know, that doesn't make sense. Why would Charlo want to go fight on a platform that looks like it's dying out? It's not, you know, their first, second quarter. They haven't really announced any big fights. They haven't done no major fights, you know, in general. And then when they do have a fight that's presumably big, like Joshua Ruiz, they put it all the way in Saudi Arabia and made it less of a big American fight, right? Why would Charlo go fight on DAZN? Just the same thing. Why would Wilder go to why would he go to DAZN? Why would he take himself off of pay-per-view? Why would Charlo, who could absolutely fight on pay-per-view? He has the demeanor, he has the skills, he has the personality, he has the brand, you know, clean cut. Why would he forfeit that option to go fight Andrade for a flat fee and bring his brand and attention to DAZN? Why don't we hear more conversations about Andrade going to Showtime? Because Andrade going to Fox, Andrade going to the BBC, because that looks like it would at least get promoted better. You know, and that's an actual network where you could actually do pay-per-view and stuff like that. So to me, I believe what Charlo was saying. Eddie Hearn is basically he's just saying this stuff to save face and get the fans arguing and stuff, but it's digital mob, it's new media. That stuff is a dub. Nobody's worried about that. You know, Oscar De La Hoya did this with Charlo. he said he offered Charlo massive, pretty good deal or something, and Charlo allegedly turned it down, or one of Charlo's people. But who did you talk to? You know, and again, I've mentioned this before. Why are you going through Charlo and he's just forwarding the information to Al Heyman anyway? So you're trying to do some backdoor stuff, right? So if it gets to Al Heyman anyway, because Charlo, he understands the team he has in place, and you know, he has his loyalty to the team he's established and that he's been working with that have put him in positions, then you should have went through Al to begin with, instead of trying to DM the fighter and slide in their inbox. It looks real weak from Eddie Hearn, point blank, period. If you love what I'm doing, smash the like button. We working. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.